There may have been things you noticed in the last video as how my voice was a little low in there. This is later in the afternoon of the same morning that that video was recorded, and as I record this one, and we'll say there were some people in the household who were upstairs asleep, so I kind of had to keep my voice down a little bit, and that was probably one reason I sounded kind of low. And it was still kind of early in the morning before I went to work, just having yet to get ready for that, so just a few little things we kind of had to take care of there. But there's a little thing I'm going to demonstrate to you now. I'm going to make a little line down the middle of the ears at the top of the cat's head. So with that little line being drawn, we're going to make it so it's going to look about the way it's going to be. So, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the V-gouge and we're going to cut right along that little line there. And the V-gouge is good for a V-cut, so that's what we do there. Make it so it comes out like it's supposed to do. We're going to make another one here and draw the line like this and see how it's going to be. And there's a little line we're going to draw to make the back of the ears here, and to see what that's going to be, we're going to carve along that as well. And so we got the little line there. We need to kind of make one down the back of the ears of this one as well, and try to show it for what it needs to be, what it's got to be worth. And so these little lines, we put them in like this and say that it was just kind of bit of some work, I know, but we got the little line making the cat, and so that's how that's going to go along. We gotta make a little cut along this line too, see the kitty's ears, and that's how we've done these so far. There's a little cut we make in the back to kind of make the ears come out a little more triangular. Hopefully the set of ears in these ones will come out a little better than the sets of ears in the ones I did before, because this time around we're really making an effort to make a triangle into there. So as you can see, we're going to get the triangle made so that the ears can come out just right. And see, when we all come right down to it, we're going to see kitty cat's ears. Kitty cat's ears. Oh, the word. It's just kind of like what we see in things we do, see in the things we make. And I say this work is going to take us along just fine, make it so we see a little light of day and all we do, what we do, and little work takes us down and we see a little ways we do this sort of thing. And there we're about to come down to making out the ears. And this time around, like I say, the ears have come out a little bit more triangular than in the ones I made out of walnut. It's probably going to be a better thing, because that way people will recognize what it is, recognize what it's supposed to be, not a squirrel like some people have thought before. And we're gonna work our way down into it, make a little triangle come out of the center, make the little kitty cat come out, and show itself to what we do of all things. Oh, it's a little work in itself, but it comes out just fine. It makes itself good for you, good for me. A little special sentimental thing for people to look at and enjoy. You see how I got the ears out there? We're going to try to get the ears out of this one as well. Show how it's going to look in the end. And when we come down, we're going to see how it's going to look. And this is just the thing that we need to see in everything we do. I tell you, sometimes I forget that I'm not supposed to saw with the knife. That's a little mishap of mine sometimes. I hear if you're not careful doing that, you can dull the blade. So that's a little something to watch out for. Some people say you might even be cheating if you're doing that. So it could very well be that sometimes you might need to get a different knife or sharpen the blade when it gets to the point you're doing that, or maybe that you need to be taking smaller cuts perhaps. So I say that these days business is coming along better. There's people I've been talking to online on Facebook and Messenger and places, and they kind of tell me about how they see me come on and off the internet at times. There are times when I kind of do that now and then, just depending on how work is going. Work can kind of be a little bit more of a peacefuler place as of lately, and it has become one on certain conditions and on certain ways, so we've already managed to take care of that for sure. We're going to come a little closer, a little further along on the ears of this one as well. You can see how I've made the little slants in the back to take out the backs of the ears. And here comes a little moment when we're going to see what there is to do next. Perhaps the next step we can take is one that I'm seeing already, where we might even just come along the back of the cat, kind of try to make the slants along here to make it so it's gonna look more kitty-like. And so we've got it along now. You see where the little corner is on the back? This is where we saw along to make the little extra line to show. And how we do this is just a matter of showing a little spirit and showing a little skill. And as for how it's going to go, this is the way it's going to be. And I say this is just the way we're going to do the kitty now. and time to kind of do a little work. Make it so we come up on the ears. Make it so that the ears look brighter and pointier and slantier, and I'd say come along this other side of the back to make the rest of it. There might be a little working to do along here to kind of make it so it comes along better this way. And as for how we're going to do this, show the little kitty its little ways, and like they all use that old phrase, curiosity killed the cat got your tongue, whatever else they say. We've kind of got to shave along these saw marks that go along the back. That's a little work we're going to do here. There were certain cats I saw on a page somewhere in another country, somebody who followed one of my older Instagram accounts. I saw how she had the black cats on her page, and kind of gave me an inspiration to make these. Sometimes I kind of like to look at other people's stuff and get ideas, and then next thing you know, based on what they do, I sort of come up with my own little patterns for things. And like we did the black cats out of the walnut, these could be some rather beige cats carved from Kentucky coffee tree. And sometimes I just enjoy using harder woods. There's another little story I want to tell you about some Kentucky coffee tree, and a story from the last show I was at, but I think we can find a way to do that as I'm working on the same steps as this other cat. You see how I got the saw marks off the back here? But when the man at the show asked me if I ever made anything out of Kentucky coffee tree, there were a few little things I showed him that I made from it. I showed him a coyote I had carved from it, and a Great Dane I had carved from it. Probably still have the coyote, but know that later that same day the Great Dane was sold. But that's just some of the ways I've started out, just to show some things I've carved, and mentioned that over many years there had been a few other things like Santas and some other stuff I'd carved from it as well. And the story was that he had a piece of Kentucky coffee tree. He was wanting to use it, but he asked me if there was any use for it, but since it was such a good, delicate wood, he didn't want to throw it away, so he wondered if anybody had any use for it. I told him, I said, if you don't have a use for it, I said, I could probably buy it from you. So he said he'd email me the picture of it, and that he'd take with his phone, where he cut down his own Kentucky coffee tree and saved a big log from it. And that was the story of how that went. And with all this work, I say I can kind of come along to understanding this a little better. But that's what he said. Was he asked me if I could use it. Told him I thought I probably would buy it from him somehow, maybe make a bid. But that was just the way we knew that would work. And this is one of those things where I have learned it to be such a good carving wood. People have made dough bowls out of it and everything, and Kentucky coffee tree is the state tree here in Kentucky. That's probably the reason why people like to save it. Probably the reason why people like to keep the wood, why they don't like to waste it. I know have in the past purchased pieces of it from online, off of eBay and other stores, and to me it's always come of good use. There's lots of woods I've worked with, lots of kinds I like to try. This particular one, it's kind of native. It's native to Kentucky. They say that the coffee tree started in Japan and they sort of brought it over to Kentucky. They say that Japan and Kentucky are the only places you'd find a coffee tree. Even those little seed pods that grow on it, I heard that some of the early settlers even tried to make coffee out of that. It wasn't the best tasting coffee you ever had. I've never tried it, but that's what I heard it said, is it didn't taste the best of any you ever had. They say that better coffee for tasting grows on a bush, but I'd say even for the kind that grows on a tree, the wood is very good carving wood. So now I've come along the back of this one, probably a little bit better than it turned out on this one, but I guess I'd say there's a little time to kind of chip away at this one, kind of make it so that the back is a little more square with the other. And so we're gonna make it shine out like it is, make it turn out as good as it can be, make it turn out like it's showing itself to you and me, making grace in life and showing us all a little sacrifice. Because I tell y'all, this is my state tree. Every state has its own tree. Kind of like I've carved cardinals out of basswood, and cardinals are my state bird. I hear there's other states besides Kentucky that have the cardinal as their state bird. There's quite a few of them that do. And this is the work we're coming along on this to make, and showing ourselves that we got little work to come along and make little things out of the things they're supposed to be, and have this work come a long way and make itself of good nature value. And yes, cats are wonderful creatures. They keep all the mice and stuff out of your houses, and more than that, they can sure protect your house and lawn from chipmunks and everything else. That's how we got the work to come along here. I'm going to bring a stop to this video here and kind of give it a while to upload. Maybe in a little bit record another one where I'll give you a little updates on the steps. And we only got a few more steps to go further along, so that's all I have to say this time, and thanks for watching and take care.